Hello, everybody, and welcome to this short video, which is called Your Sentences Yourself. Words are great. We love words. But words sitting alone by themselves can only do so much. When they get together, however, their expressive power skyrockets into new dimensions. Even two random words sitting next to each other, math and cheeseburger, suddenly evoke startling new meanings as the mind instinctively seeks out the connections between them. Cheeseburger statistics, eating a burger in math class, a STEM-oriented fast food chain called MathDonald's, etc. As more words come into the picture, the possibilities for making meanings increase exponentially. And experimental poets have a lot of fun with this effect, stringing together combinations of words that evoke ambiguous but compelling meanings. There is a certain way of putting together words that allows them to communicate more precise meanings and to maximize their communicative power, and that is, of course, the sentence. A sentence, specifically a complete sentence, is the magical formula that allows words to say things about things. It is the essence of written communication, although not always of spoken communication, and it defines the difference between simply writing words and actually saying something. In a shopping list, I might write cabbage, potatoes, celery. But if I am writing in sentences, I'll write, I have to buy cabbage, potatoes, and celery. It might not sound like a big difference at first, but the difference is actually huge. In the sentence, an I appears, a speaker, a human being, along with the entire situation that the sentence evokes. Why do I have to? What is the story behind the statement? Who is I? Any sentence gestures toward a complete world full of human beings doing things, having personalities, expressing themselves. A word is anonymous. It belongs to everyone. But a sentence belongs to the person who writes it, and it reflects a part of who they are, how they use their language, and how they see their world. It is helpful to know a few things about sentences. One thing to know is that there are different kinds of sentences. One way of classifying sentences is to think about what they do. The most common kind of sentence, and the one that we'll be talking about most often, is known as a declarative sentence. A declarative sentence is a sentence that makes a statement. I like cheese. The dog walked down the path. The phone is broken. They sound simple, but declarative sentences do the profound work of fixing meanings into place and establishing the truths that hold our world together. The easiest way to understand what declarative sentences are is to explain what they're not. The other kinds of sentence functions, which are questions, did the dog walk down the path? Commands, walk the dog down the path, Bobby. And exclamations, wow, a dog on a path. Any sentence that's not a question, a command, or an expression of surprise is a declarative sentence, and that's obviously most of what people write. So let's look a little closer at the anatomy of a declarative sentence, which is always very simple, no matter how long or elaborate a sentence might get. In any complete declarative sentence in the English language, there are always two elements that constitute the sentence's completeness. Something that the sentence is about, the subject of the sentence, and something that the sentence has to say about that thing, the verb or predicate. The subject and verb are the right and left legs of a sentence, and they are what allow it to walk, to move forward with this ratchet-like effect of saying something, then saying something about that thing. In English, any declarative sentence has to be at least two words, a doer and something that the doer does. Jesus wept. Fish swim. Love rules. The subject-verb structure is the root of all sentences. If you can find the subject and the verb in any sentence, you can unravel its basic meaning, even if the sentence is hundreds of words long. As a writer, it's helpful to internalize this two-part structure of sentences. For one thing, being able to identify and keep track of your subjects and verbs helps you to avoid writing incomplete sentences, also known as fragments or affectionately, frags. Frags can be used to powerful rhetorical effect, but for a writer, they don't walk as effectively. They don't carry meaning forward as well, because they're missing either their subject or their verb. They either have a doer that doesn't do anything, or they describe an action without saying who does it. More importantly, for a writer, the best thing about the subject-verb structure is that it provides you a template for generating and articulating your own ideas. When you are sitting down trying to write a sentence, first write down what you want to talk about. There's the beginning of your sentence. And then write out whatever you have to say about that thing. There's the rest of your sentence. And then just keep going. Subject and verb, establishing a rhythm that challenges you as a writer to push further into your own ideas. Of course, sentences can and do become more complicated than the two-word examples in the other slide. It is worth knowing that in addition to these simple sentences, there are compound sentences, Jesus wept, and love rules. There are complex sentences, Jesus wept because love rules. And even compound complex sentences, Jesus wept and fish swim because love rules. These are stripped down examples, but hopefully they demonstrate that even the most complicated kinds of sentences are easy to understand and to compose when you know how to spot their subjects and verbs. These distinctions might sound arcane, and they kind of are, but they also provide useful tools for establishing relationships between ideas, bringing elements together in different ways, and creating new meanings and new ideas. And this is maybe the most important thing to know about sentences. They don't exist until you write them. The structure of a sentence is a way of doing a certain kind of conceptual work. When I start filling in the structure with words, the structure starts to do some of its own work of building relationships between the words. The strange result is that writers are often surprised by their own sentences. They might have thought that they were sitting down to take ideas in their head and transfer them onto a piece of paper. But what actually happens is that the sentences shape and produce meanings, rather than merely reflecting or echoing them. When you write a sentence, you are not only expressing something, you are creating something new. It is likely that any random sentence that you write is a sentence that has never been written before in the history of planet Earth, and that may never be written again. It is a profoundly creative act, and it is one that happens in a kind of partnership between who you are and how you use language, and also how language uses you. Therefore, although the subject-verb structure of sentences specifies the content of any given sentence, the soul of any given sentence is the voice, the perspective, and the mind of the human being who wrote it.